Can I just say, sir, that in Bihar, paddy is currently being sold at 900 to 1,000 rupees a quintal against the 1,868 price set by the centre. So it's not as if after the APMC system was done away with, that farmers started getting better price for their yield. It is true that when the pack system came into play, the yields went up, production per hectare has gone up, but the price realization of the farmers as a fact hasn't gone up. It's still much lesser than the MSP that farmers in Punjab and Haryana benefit from. In fact, there are instances where people take truckloads of paddy from Bihar, bring it to a mandi in Punjab and sell it because they get a better price here.
No, of course, anybody who can bring this to Punjab will want it because that's the MSP. That only says that the MSP is higher than the market price. Also, the numbers you have quoted are only for one current year. You have to look at what the numbers were before the APMC reform and what the numbers are after the APMC reform. Nobody disputes that the MSP is higher, significantly higher than the market price. I myself said that even after the APMC reform in Bihar, there is a 20% gap. This is the average gap that these gentlemen have computed. I mean, I haven't done these numbers. I just rely on Ashok Gulati and Ramesh Chand. Both of them have written about it or given interviews on it, and that is their numbers. But you've got to do before and after. I mean, you can't just quote, at a point in time, the gap between the MSP and the market
No, but
price.
it's stopped 2005 to now is about 15 years. So it's correct that wheat production has gone up from 1379 per kg per hectare to 2797 kg per hectare. In the same way, paddy production's gone up. Maize production's gone up substantially. So net between 2011 to 2018-19, India's growth rate for agriculture was 7.5%, agricultural productivity, but in Bihar it was 13.3%. So that is correct. The problem is that the price realization for farmers is not increasing. There is still a huge gap, which is why Abhijeet Banerjee argues that why should the price risk fall on the shoulders of the poorest person in the whole chain, the farmer?
Rahul, you got to look at it before APMC reform and after APMC reform. Has the risk increased or decreased? What I'm telling you is that because the risk has actually decreased, going by the numbers that I have seen from Ramesh Chand and Ashok Gulati, I would say that APMC reform made the farmers better off, not worse off. That is all limited point. It's not, it's nobody's case that MSP is lower than the market price. Of course, market price was lower than the MSP and it remains lower than the MSP.
So let's deal with Professor Banerjee's point about safeguards, about risk. In this uncertain occupation, why should the burden of risk lie on the farmer? Professor Banerjee's argument was that there should be a cost plus X% formula, not necessarily linked to international prices, could be domestic cost plus a certain percentage. Why is it irrational for the government to give the farmer some guarantee of price support?
Look, Professor Banerjee first started talking about MSP reform of MSP itself, saying that, look, how long are we going to do this? Can we keep subsidizing this forever? But then he wants to actually introduce yet another system in which the government guarantees the cost plus, meaning guarantees MSP to everybody. Already you got 90 million tons in your food stocks. How much more can the government collect? And we know it that if you give MSP on the entire crop, then all of it will have to be bought by the government. You will not find too many market purchasers of it. And mind you, you are not raising risk any further by the reform. I mean, you keep saying that, why are you raising the risk? You are not raising the risk because the APMC is there. The old system that existed is there. Why do you keep assuming?
But is it? Because in the manner in which the original, allow me to contest what you're saying. In the manner in which the original 3 bills have been got, the taxes and levies applicable on government mandis continue, while procurement from the private operators is bereft of any tax and levy. Now the government in an amendment is promising to change that, but the original intent of the bill was that private procurement will be bereft of any fee and levy, government procurement will have fees and levies. that just creates an imbalanced playing field where the government procurement system has a natural disadvantage. You start with the fees and levies that need to be paid. In some cases it's 8 to 10%, in some cases it's lesser, but you're already building that into the cost. So it naturally makes the government mandi uncompetitive in comparison with the private mandi. Over a period of time, trade will shift. Naturally, it's only natural.
I mean, are you saying that the government will want to procure outside the APMC mandi?
No, sir, that's not the point I'm making. I'm saying in the manner in which the three laws have been passed, the government procurement has taxes and levies built into it, which means that the farmer will get less, whereas in the private procurement, there are no taxes and levies which the private players will have to pay. Therefore, they will have better margins, they'll be able to give better prices. So initially it will seem that trading with the farmers, trading off the farmers with the private sector gets them a better deal, but that will lead to the government mandi system collapsing. That's the fear that farmers and people like Yogendra Yadav and others are voicing again and again.
Well, you know, you can keep raising these fears, but I mean, you're saying that the government is not trustworthy, but the government is saying, the Prime Minister is saying that, you know, the system, that my procurement has been there and it will remain there.
No, sir, so that's not the point I'm making. I'm making this point
I still do not
that
see the connection.
when you sell to a government mandi, there will be a certain cess and a levy that operates. When you sell to a private player, that cess and levy will not play. Therefore, it will seem that it is more beneficial for the farmer to sell to the private sector initially, which means over a period of time, the quantum of trade with the government mandi will come down. And the balance will shift from the government mandi very naturally. I'll give you a simpler example. It's like Jio and BSNL. Because it's not as if BSNL has been wound up, BSNL still continues as the government telecom operator, but farmers fear that while it continues as a straggler, the actual trade, the actual consumers will shift to a company like Jio. That's the fear that's voiced again and again.
Wait a minute. Are you telling me that the customer is worse off because of the private companies coming into telecom?
Farmers, sir. Farmers.
Think of the customer. Okay. So farmer is the one here. Farmer is the one here. Farmer is better off. Look, Rahul, you have got the logic completely backwards. If the farmer gets better price in the private market, let the farmer sell it in the private market. If the farmer will get better price through MSP, which currently he does or she does, they will come to the MSP, come to the APMC to sell it at the MSP.
No, so let me explain. Let me explain the logic.
I don't get it.
No, I'll explain. I don't fully buy the logic. No, I don't fully buy the logic. Dr. Banerjee is listening. We'll go back to him later. But here's what the farmers are apprehensive about. Initially, the private sector, because they don't have any cesses, levies and taxes, will offer more money to the farmer. The farmer will go there. Procurement from the government mandis will start coming down because they have unfavorable terms of trade. Over a period of time, it starts shrinking. Later, now the buying power is with the private traders. They start pushing prices down, putting farmers in a corner. If you're up against a corporate, you have a small parcel of land. Naturally, in that trade, the advantage is with a big corporate. They will, after year 3, year 4, year 5, start offering lesser. Initially, yes, the farmer will benefit. Later, they will start to suffer because the buying power will be with the private operator. That's the fear.
No, I disagree with that analysis, Rahul, completely. If the government says that my MSP is going to be above the market price, it will remain above the market price. If government procures it in APMC mandi, you get better price in APMC mandi at MSP. So your fear has to go further. If your argument has to hold water, which is that the government itself will withdraw from procuring at MSP.